So it's been a pretty big week for me. What is it today? Thursday. So since Thursday last week's been massive, and nothing property related at all, unfortunately. I flew up the mainland into Sydney, and then I caught a bus down to Canberra, and then I picked up a car in Canberra, which I've had probably for about 10 years, and it's been off the road, and a mechanic had been going over it for me and getting it ready to drive down. Anyway, Friday morning I jumped in the car and started heading out of Canberra, heading down to Melbourne to catch the boat, and everything went wrong. I basically spent the next 24 hours kind of working on it, quick bit of sleep in the middle, and then working on it some more. So the mechanic helped me quite a bit, and we got it all together, and I drove down to Hume in record time, considering it's a car from the 50s, and straight onto the boat with basically half an hour to spare, and got off and rocked up at home at about 9 o'clock on Mother's Day, ready to do the Mother's Day thing and take my wife and the kids out to lunch and do all that. So it was a pretty big weekend, and then Monday into work, and then Tuesday was my birthday, so I took most of the day off. I did work a little bit and did a few things. I did get to meet with an architect and have a chat about one of our upcoming projects. That was actually really good. Got some really nice firm figures on some things. It's one of the nice things about working with this firm. They build a lot of product in town. They kind of practice what they preach. They develop in-house. The guys on staff develop for themselves, friends develop, so they know the building costs. They know how things are going to go on the block. They half the time know the block you're going to build on, because one of them have looked at it, or they know the block 2 doors down, and they know how the land lies. So yeah, it's that was a good conversation. And then yesterday I'm on the board for my kids' school, and so I had all the reading to do with that, and the paperwork and the emails and things that lead up to the board meeting, which was last night. It's interesting, we're kind of victims of our own success a little bit. I wouldn't say victims is the right word, but the issues that we're dealing with are due to our success. We've gone from 8 students last year, which was our first year, just kinder prep kids, to kinder prep and a first 5 grades for primary school in 1 year. We've got 42 students now, and it's just massive. And we had a site potentially lined up for next year, which could take the extra numbers we're going to have. I'd say I'm forecasting well over 60 kids next year. And we had this site lined up that was going to be good, and then the vendors decided they weren't getting out for another year, and we could just wait. It's like, problem with waiting, that costs us money, and that costs us equity, because we can't finance the costs of waiting. So we're essentially eating our equity and killing our purchasability. So interesting dynamics. But now we have to work on the site we've got and extend what we've got, add extra buildings, and frankly we're just going to look for other options rather than this one. They're not negotiating really well, and we've got time on our side now. We don't have to buy something like that's ready to go. We can buy something a little bit different. So anyway, busy week. So property stuff, looking at another 3 deals. I've got quite a lot of Feezo's versions on each of them. I'm really happy with one in particular. I reckon I'm pretty much final version on that. I've given it to the JV partners. They're getting their accountant to look over it, which will be interesting. It's a bit of a new thing for me. Usually my JV partners kind of trust their own assessment quite a bit, and their attitude in the past has been much more about, do I believe this Feezo enough that I'm not going to lose money? I know we're kind of in this game to make money, but they're of the attitude that if I don't lose money and I get this experience, I'm happy with that. That's a pretty good thing. But this group that I'm working with at the moment, they've got a nice thorough approach. They've checked all my figures over really in a detailed way. They've asked a lot of questions. There's been a lot of thinking about it, and this is good. I mean, it keeps me honest. It keeps me kind of thinking things through. Not that I don't, but yeah, it's been a good sort of process. I'm looking forward to seeing what their accountant comes out. I half expect their accountant to pick holes in it and be pessimistic, but you never know. I mean, maybe they look at it and they actually see the real figures that are there. So it's a really good little deal. It's 6 townhouses, but 2 out of the 3 deals I'm looking at the moment are interesting. They've both got cutbacks on the existing house. So basically we've got either non-complying or non-ideal access ways down the side on 2 of these. One of them we're looking at cutting the house back about 800 to a metre, and the other one it'll be more like probably about the same actually, maybe 1200 mil, and that's not a lot. But you've got to redo all the foundations, you've got to take all the windows off, you've got to reclad that whole side, you've got to cut floorboards back, you've got to cut frames back. But that's, it's not a lot of distance, but it's actually quite a lot of work. So yeah, that's some interesting discussion going on around that. And the one in particular, it does comply, but when you're building houses you're selling in the mid 400s, compact little townhousey type things in the mid 400s, there's high quality finishes in them, and you're asking them to access down the side of a renovated but old house, and you're talking about a 3.2 metre wide driveway, you're kind of saying, we've got this quality product, how about you squeeze past this old house and come and look at it? It just doesn't work. So we're rejigging the front house and kind of moving it a bit towards something else. I've got some ideas for maybe rejigging, seeing we're rejigging the front house quite substantially, rejigging it in a way that it makes it ideal as a share house. We're about 2 blocks from the hospital where we are, running it as a long-term share house. I know someone here in Lonnie who manages that sort of stuff, so I'll have a chat to him, see what he thinks about it, and it could be a really good high-income, good affordable housing piece of product, and be a quality kind of finished house, brand new, lots of bathrooms in it. Everyone kind of gets their own space, not quite micro apartment level, but kind of going that direction. Anyway, so it's been a good week. Hoping to get Geotech back on the subdivision this week. Talking to the architect on the townhouse development this week. He's been over in Japan for about 2 or 3 weeks, so he's been having a good time doing a semi-work trip over there. So yeah, he's back on deck today. We'll be talking about that. I've got my surveying all done, so he can start his design work. I've just got to organise my soil test so that he knows exactly what he's working with on the below the ground. So yeah, that's they're all progressing nicely, little steps. Neither of them are tearing along. The Geotech's been a really long process, so we're kind of hoping that comes off this week, and we can hand it back to the people who care and kind of get these objections and issues in the council to kind of step back and just approve our development, and then we can move on to the next stage, which will be fun. So yeah, thanks for paying attention, people. Thanks for listening. Please hit the subscribe button in YouTube and you'll get notified about any of this sort of stuff. I really appreciate it. Head over to NextDev. Anyone you know who might be interested in this sort of content, share it out with them, tell them about it. Happy to answer questions as always. Let me know what I can do for you. Talk to you later, people.